Neil Jacobs, welcome to Face. How are you?
Hi guys, thanks for having me back. Thank
Hey,
you, Dale.
Neil, how are you? So,
I'm doing great.
okay, why don't we, get right to the quiet action that we're having in Bitcoin? Are you sensing that, with risk off and what's happening, chaos in the Forex markets, that this might be a time for people to be considering Bitcoin in all this chaos?
Well, you know me, Dale. I'm not like a trader. I don't try to
Yeah,
time this. So for me, anytime's a good time. There's some people under the opinion that Bitcoin trades like a risk on asset right now. So if you do have more uneasiness in the bond markets, and that takes equity markets down. People think that Bitcoin will go down with it. It's funny. I looked the last time I was on your show was June 14th. So what is that? July, almost 3 months ago. And
right,
Bitcoin, the low of those days was around 20,500. And now
right.
we're around like 19,500. So for Bitcoin, that even though that's down 5% ish, that's relatively stable. And everything in the world is telling you why the financial system is messed up right now and why we need an alternative. And I think Bitcoin is that long term.
Okay, so explain it to me. I heard a very good ambassador for Bitcoin, gentleman named Greg Foss. Do you know?
Greg, yeah, I love Greg. He's
And
he's
and
got
how he
quite the emotions. Greg, I love him.
he's very high energy and passionate, and he
Yes.
thinks that the U.S. should make Bitcoin its reserve currency, and then use fiat for daily type of transactions. But he said, what if Russia goes to wanting to get paid in Bitcoin? So,
Yeah,
there
we've
are a
already
lot of
seen
possible. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
we've already seen talks about that. Sorry to interrupt. Yeah,
That's okay.
we've already seen like talks about Russia exploring Bitcoin. Yeah, the first sovereign nation to step in is going to cause quite the splash. I mean, we did have El Salvador, but they're kind of a
Yeah.
nothing on the global stage. So once you see one of these a bigger country jump in, you're going to have the game theory at play, and others are going to have to follow. It's just who's going to make that leap first.
So I think a lot of people, you look at this chart and it, looks like it could be vulnerable to another wash. I know people that are traders, Neil, are talking like
Yes.
14,000, something like that. But maybe the way to approach Bitcoin right now is not be cute and do what people have been telling you to do in the stock market for ages, and that's just to put a certain amount of money in, like you do, on a regular interval, and it scales you into a position, and hope it takes time for the market to turn, and you are able to get even a better price by not being all in one price.
Yeah, I'm one of the crazy people that has almost my entire net worth in Bitcoin. But for the average person just coming
Yeah.
in, I would suggest just put something you're comfortable with, understand the asset as your conviction with the asset grows. So will your percent of your net worth. Now we are in uncharted, times and modern times when we're seeing what's happening with the bond market. I don't know
It's
what's going to happen.
unbelievable to me.
Yeah, I'm not an expert on this by any means. I listen to other people, supposed experts on this, and things just seem really out of whack. And what would have happened if the Bank of England didn't step in yesterday, right? It was the Bank of England's moment like the canary in the coal mine? You might be a better person to tell me.
Well, you know what I think about it, and we get pretty transfixed on looking at everything in dollar terms. But if you own Bitcoin the last 6 months in Japan, it's worked for you. If you've owned it in, anywhere in the Eurozone, it's worked for you. And the only reason it hasn't worked here is because of the bull market in the dollar, which could change someday. I think within even my lifetime.
Yeah, the,
So,
the dollar is still king. Greg Foss likes to say it's I think the
yeah,
fastest horse at the glue factory.
yeah,
So it's still reigns supreme, and until we have like some sovereigns start accepting it as payment for things like oil and energy, it's still going to have a ways to go. But when I hold Bitcoin, I know I hold a money that has the best characteristics of any money in human history.
Okay, so the Ethereum merge turned out to be kind of hit the wall, or yield right away didn't work. So I know you don't buy anything but Bitcoin. You're a purist in Bitcoin. Any comment on that merge?
I don't. I'll take
is it like
the
a
term
penny stock and they're pumping it, or
yeah,
what?
I'll take the term purist as a compliment. I've just
Yeah.
come to like an understanding about Bitcoin, where everything else is kind of centralized and mimics a lot of what we see in the fiat currency system. Like the fact that there was some big change to Ethereum, right, affecting billions and billions of dollars on the line, reminds me of the Federal Reserve coming in and making changes at a whim. We're trying to get away from that with Bitcoin, and Bitcoin doesn't work that way. It's not easy to make big changes. It's not easy to make any changes at all. Everything with Bitcoin has been gradual changes over time.
Okay, so I'm sure there's a lot of people from my generation that need to be educated on the process. I know I could open up an account and trade Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But the way to actually take possession and cold storage and how you would go about it, you wire money from your bank to a broker. Is there any kind of resource for people, say they've never bought crypto before or they've never bought Bitcoin, that would be a primer and outline the steps to take to be able to not just buy it, but have delivery and possession of it?
So there's not like one central guide. Remember, this is a decentralized money where there is no lead organization. There are, one that I like to recommend, and just full disclosure, I do contract work for this company, but they're not paying me to say this, but I do contract work for this company, a Swan Bitcoin, like the bird Swan. They have a great onboarding process, and they for high net worth individuals, they have a private service. They'll kind of hold your hand, but they'll do that for almost anyone. They'll show you how to buy it and how to custody it yourself. They have great educational resources on their site. So I would check out Swan.
I know it's not complicated to you, but is it complicated to most people?
Not to really get started. You could buy Bitcoin in like under 5-10 minutes. You sign up with an account. I could post like a link. I'll post my own referral link in there, but you could just go to swanbitcoin.com too. And it's pretty easy. I think the whole, process would literally take 5 to 10 minutes to buy Bitcoin. So, you buy it, you're not yet custodying it, right? It's like buying paper gold. It's out there in your brokerage account in the ether until you actually take possession, right? The custody that you said, it's still an IOU to you. But the great thing about Bitcoin is, unlike gold, it's easily deliverable. I could get the Bitcoin delivered to me in 10 minutes. With gold, I experimented in gold, and it took like a month and a half for gold
to get delivery from that's
and I use one of the more reputable ones. I think it was I'm not trying to throw anyone under the bus. I think it was called JM Bullion.
Oh, okay.
But that
know.
was,
I mean, I just ordered physical silver. It did take about 4 or 5 days to get it delivered.
Even still, like,
you're right.
Settlement,
you don't need an intermediary.
Correct. It's all peer to peer. It's a great discovery.
Okay, so talking about something that I think is going to drive people to it. First of all, I think a weaker dollar would be part of it, but once people start to become aware of CBDCs, do you think by that time, the smart money's already in, and that's when, people go, well, if we're digital, I'd rather not be in a fiat digital, which is what it's going to be, right?
Yeah. So we already are like in a hybrid digital world right now, but CBDCs are a dystopia, right? It's basically
Surveillance.
it's surveillance. It's one central power telling you need to spend your money right now, right? Or you can spend your money at this place because you were bad. You drove 10 miles an hour over the speed limit. We're only going to let you use your CBDC money on food. That's not the kind of world I want to live in. And I think we unfortunately are kind of heading towards that with a lot of these countries. I don't know if it's anytime in the near
So do you
future.
think you could live in that world without being part of that world by having Bitcoin, that you're going to be able to operate in a society that's dominated by that type of dystopian environment?
So my argument would be twofold. One, you'll have this type of jurisdictional arbitrage where people who prefer freedom will leave towards jurisdictions that are more favorable to Bitcoin. Also, I just don't think these CBDCs will work long term. I think the incentives will drive people towards Bitcoin. Maybe in more oppressive regimes like a North Korea, if they wanted to do it, maybe they could get away with it for long term. But a country like the US, where everyone's so divided and everyone's kind of like fighting with each other, I think the free market, I think the free market would win out. Like people would say, I'm not. We see black markets all the time throughout history, but I think Bitcoin as a black market in the CBDC world would eventually win out anyways and become what people use. We see in other countries right now, there's black market rates for currencies and then bank rates. So people find a way, they find what they want to use.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what they say, Neil, there's an old expression on Wall Street. And what they're calling Bitcoin now, they talked about Miami being like a crypto hub that would, real estate was benefiting from all the crypto billionaires moving there. And now they say it's crypto winter. And as you can tell, I've been around for a while, but not this long. There's an old Wall Street saying, buy straw hats in winter. So it's a crypto winter, right? That's when you get them cheap.
That's when you get a good deal. Yeah. I'm very, I have an aversion to the word crypto in general because I am a Bitcoin person. Right. Although Bitcoin, works with cryptography, the whole crypto word has been completely pillaged by the crypto industry. So are we in a Bitcoin bear market, a Bitcoin winter? Sure. Okay. Is all the crypto scams kind of they kind of follow whatever Bitcoin does, right? They're like the tail and Bitcoin's the dog.
That also contributed to price depreciation. Just the whole fraud thing that had nothing to do with Bitcoin, right? It got colored.
Yeah, I think a lot of Bitcoiners underestimated the contagion effects that would happen when all these over-leveraged crypto altcoin firms kind of collapse. What they had to, settle a lot of their debts, margin calls. What do they sell? They're going to sell their Bitcoin, the most liquid asset out there, trades 24/7 to cover all their bad gambling. So of course, the price of Bitcoin is going to plummet when you have these knock-on effects from the crypto markets.
Well, there was a day, it was this week. It feels like weeks ago already.
I can't keep up with the weeks or the days anymore.
The market was down, Neil, and we were having currency problems, and Bitcoin was up $300-400 with the whole screen red. And I'm looking for different asset classes to begin to differentiate themselves from each other, but it seems like they're still all tethered by the dollar. The dollar weakens, things go up. Dollar strengthens, things go down. But there was a day this week when Bitcoin tried to, it was up with the everything down, and to me it looks like we're building some type of base here. There was divergence here.
We actually saw the New York Times had a headline that said currencies around the world are tumbling except Bitcoin. The cryptocurrency has risen 6.5% over the past 7 days. Obviously, now we've.
Did you write a letter to the editor and correct him about crypto? Can't let that
No,
get out in the public domain.
no,
All
but
right.
I hope me talking with you, Dale, like you help start making the change. Like it's
Okay.
really important, especially when you talked about these CBDCs coming in the future. We need to show a good contrast, and Bitcoin is that. And I don't want it to get muddled with all the other, as we like to say it, shit coins out there.
Okay.
We want to see Bitcoin go toe to toe, and it will, and it will, in my opinion, it will win out. But all these other cryptocurrencies are noise. And the more people who understand Bitcoin, the stronger fight we'll be able to take on against these CBDCs and other government overreach.
Okay. So you want to tell me how your shirt sales are going here so we could spread the word?
So
I think I'll buy one, Neil.
I appreciate it. Yeah. So
it's taken me years, but I'm starting to really starting to think that we're getting that it's time to
so
at least have your toe in the water.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing up our my website. It's called FOMO21.com. FOMO stands for it stands for fear of missing out, and 21 is for 21 million Bitcoin, because there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin. So yeah, most services, Bitcoin related companies and bear markets kind of track with the Bitcoin price, unfortunately. Luckily, we're very agile, and we've seen a nice bump recently in sales, probably just because I won't stop talking about it on Twitter, and I have a pretty good reach. But we have over 3,000 products on the site, men, women, children.
Yeah.
So yeah, this company we started earlier in the year, but it's moving slow and steady, and I'm very confident about its future.
You know what? It's not just an asset class; it's a culture, isn't it?
Yeah, so you could own Bitcoin and not be a part of the culture. Like, Bitcoin is for anyone. So you don't have to like prescribe to what the loudest thing in the room is saying. A lot of people try to throw shade at Bitcoin, so to speak, because there's some loud voices who are like, I only do this and I live this one. But you know what? Bitcoin is about individual freedom and sovereignty. You can do whatever you want. Anyone could own Bitcoin. No one could stop you. No government could cut you off. No influencer or culture could tell you. It's just money. It's just money. It's a tool, and that's what money should be.
I'm surprised you don't hear about it from libertarian candidates in the political sphere. It's the ideal thing that fits their philosophy.
Yeah, we've had some more I guess fringe candidates talk about it. You've seen like Ron Paul over the years kind of mention it. He's always been and the Fed
Gold
and
guy.
the Fed, and it seems like he's a lot of what has said has come out to be true over the years. It's just taken a long time to pan out. But yeah, it makes sense for libertarians. A lot of people who are initially drawn to Bitcoin have more of a conservative or libertarian bent to them. And it kind of makes sense because, at least in theory, they're more about separating things from government, and Bitcoin is separating money from government. But Bitcoin is really great for anyone. There are progressive and liberal cases for Bitcoin as well. And like I said, it's just a tool. It's a tool to transmit value across space and time. So it's not for any one party or religion or any culture.
I tell you what, you are one of the best ambassadors that I speak to about Bitcoin.
Well, thank you.
Crypto.
I've had a Bitcoin, not crypto.
Right.
I've been really fortunate to been in circles with some of the brightest Bitcoin minds in the world. And I've just benefited off what they've said. It's really hard to come up with new original thought in the Bitcoin space. But I really stand on the shoulders of who I consider as
you had
great
mentors.
minds.
Yeah.
Great minds.
Yeah. So community once again wins out. So
yeah, like I said, the word community, it's kind of a trigger in the Bitcoin community, right? Because it is a tool, Bitcoin, and it doesn't belong to anyone. But yeah, it's good to have a circle of people who you could bounce off ideas from and theories and concepts. And in bear markets,
mastermind together.
And brainstorm. And in bear markets, it's nice to have that kind of support group for sure.
Sure, misery loves company, Neil.
It's not even that. It kind of, yes and no, but it's more. No, but I'm very the negative energy that we're experiencing right now. It has an effect on me. There is like a burnout, but you go back to first principles and why you're here in the first place, and we've seen
Yeah.
this happen with Bitcoin, year after year, where Bitcoin has this kind of run. You have the retail come in, FOMO into it. It pops off, it draws back down. But you have some people who came in for the first time who might be underwater, but they're like, what is this thing? They learn about it, they build conviction, and then you have the next run up again. And I think we're going to see that. And eventually, hopefully, Bitcoin reaches some sort of escape velocity where we don't go through these boom and bust cycles. But for now, this is just kind of what we're going to see.
Okay, well, I look at this monthly chart here, and 18,000 was a high, prior high before we pulled back to 3,000 for this big run.
Yes.
And then we had
I remember that. I held all the way down from that too, and that was not easy either.
Here we are really testing, a prior high, pretty important. But the thing that stands out to me technically, I believe that in threes for completions of patterns, and we've only had 2 in Bitcoin. So for this pattern to complete, I could make a case for a third drive, taking it to new highs for the pattern to complete. Doesn't guarantee that it can't still work lower first, but it looks like unfilled destiny for a new high.
Maybe. I always thought like double tops were the thing, and there's no such thing as a triple top, Dale, but you're more of an expert in this area, so yeah, well, I'll go with what you say.
Yeah, it's they're not tops because each one makes a successive high.
They're pretty close, but you're right.
Yeah, so I'm thinking there's another one of these coming. Just something to think about, and I think a lot of it'll have to do with people, the dollar becoming more of a two-way street than a one-way street. I don't think we're that far away from that.
Yeah, you may be right. Like I said, I don't get into like the trading. I do I have a basic understanding.
Well, it's definitely less of a stressful existence, and I envy you.
Yeah. Well, I don't think holding Bitcoin, being a Bitcoin hodler, as we like to say, is less stressful. It's still it could be very stressful when you have a large amount of your net worth, and especially if you don't understand it. But like I said, I'm the day-to-day, the trading, it's not something I'm focused on. But I don't know if you caught yesterday. Did you see anything Stanley Druckenmiller was saying about Bitcoin and the crypto space at large?
No.
Yeah. So yesterday, and I'm gonna just pretend that he said Bitcoin and not crypto. I'm pretty sure he's basically mostly in cryptocurrency, but he said, or mostly in Bitcoin, sorry. But he said that crypto could enjoy a renaissance as trust in banks fade. So when you have people like him saying it, it means something. It definitely means something.
You need Ray Dalio now.
Ray Dalio, he says he has some exposure to Bitcoin, whether that's actual spot Bitcoin that he custodies. I'm doubtful about that.
But Druckenmiller is definitely a high credibility voice to say
absolutely.
Something like that.
It's kind of started for me in terms of seeing the high credibility voices back in, I think it was May of 2020, where Paul Tudor Jones first came out and kind of threw his support. You've seen Bill Miller throw his support behind Bitcoin. You have Druckenmiller. I think it's a matter of time till everyone is in it. It's just, you kind of get Bitcoin at the price you deserve. And we'll see when these other well-known investors like Ray Dalio actually have a stronger conviction. And you got to remember, everyone has their own incentives in play. And for a long time, Ray Dalio has been a big proponent of China kind of taking over. And I kind of think that narrative's kind of falling apart when you see things like the social credit system they're trying to build, CBDCs, and look, the dollar is still winning. As far as other fiat currencies go, are people going to trust China? Are they going to trust Russia? They trust the US, whether that's a good thing or not. They do. It has longer credibility. I don't see China ever becoming some world currency. And if it does, we're in trouble.
I agree. All you have to do is look back to North Korea.
Yeah.
You know, read about
yeah. It's really scary.
MacArthur.
It's
Yeah.
really scary when you hear about the experiments they're doing on their people. They're at the economic experience. It's really scary.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It was really great to hear from you again, Neil.
Thanks
and
for having me on. I hope to be back.
everyone, maybe you put a link, and people that see it may go out and do a little shopping with you for Christmas or Halloween.
Yeah, I just put it in the chat. I also earlier, I don't know if it hyperlinked in the chat.
Oh, the
I also
Black
put
Swan Bitcoin.
Yeah, so you could click that link.
Yeah.
That link, I think it gets you like $10 when you sign up. But even if you just go to swanbitcoin.com, I think it's a good onboarding process. Okay. Good hand holding. It's not a trading platform. When you go there, you go to buy. They don't even have a sell button there. Like it's all about custodying. It's like going to JM Bullion, right? And you buy gold. It's not there to like trade gold, paper gold. Now, if you really needed to sell your Bitcoin, you could get on the phone with someone at Swan and they will sell it for you. But I think 98% of their action is buy side, because like everyone just goes there to accumulate. They're not going there for a short-term trade.
Okay, great info. So I appreciate the edification for me. I asked this for me, and I'm sure I'm not the only one with silver hair, although I like silver along with Bitcoin, that needs to know how to do it. To us, a wallet's something made of leather that you put your credit cards and cash in.
Yeah. Well, you know what though, Dale, I like to talk to people like 50 years ago, credit cards first came on the scene. Maybe a little, was it the 70s or maybe it was the 60s?
I can't remember those 2 decades.
It's before I wasn't even born during that time. But back then, I was watching an old video from the BBC the other day, and they were showing people using credit cards, and stores were like, "We don't accept this," and people hesitant. But credit cards are a form of digital payment, right? And then most of your money today is digital. Right? Most people don't have that much cash. Like I would guess that 90% of the people listening, most of the people listening, 90% of the cash they have is in a bank, right?
Yeah.
So
we're
already used to digital. It's just a learning curve for people, but they'll get there.
Okay. Well, if I can, anyone can do it.
And I look forward to you buying Bitcoin and custodying it yourself, and use my link that I posted.
All right,
in the
buddy,
chat
you got it. You got it. So thank you. Give and receive. That's reap and sow. So thank you so much again, Neil.
Thanks for having me on. Hope to see you again.
Yeah, we'll do it. All right. Everyone.
Thank you.
Neil Jacobs. Take it easy.
And you can find me on Twitter at Neil Jacobs. And anybody, seriously, and I mean this, if you have a question about Bitcoin, message me. I don't care if you have 10 followers on Twitter or 50,000. I will try to answer your question or direct you to the right person, because I'm all about the mission and advocating for Bitcoin. All right, I'm done talking.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Neil. All right, everyone, you could join the team in 13 minutes on the Morning Edge. Remember, don't just count your Bitcoins, count your blessings. See everyone tomorrow for wrap up. Adios.
Hey traders, this is Blake Morrow with ForexAnalytix. Thanks for stopping by our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like these videos, share them, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of the content that we provide here for free. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you in the next video.